Okay, Dr. Field, where do you feel like we're at in our conversation at this moment?
I think we're still with sacrifice, and what I want to say about sacrifice is that
it's a tough subject, huh?
Well, it is a tough subject, and it's what we're ultimately asked to do is to sacrifice our selfishness. That's the thing that needs to get taken care of.
Okay.
And I think the great religions, spiritual traditions of the earth have all had ways and means of doing this.
Yeah.
And some of them converge, and some of them use slightly different language, but it's still all the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, in Christianity,
Yeah.
Christ gave himself up for us. Yeah. In Buddhism, Buddha talks about, and some teachers say it just this way, the death of the self is one of the components to enlightenment, that once you're enlightened, there's no self there. So
Right. And that because the self isn't there is the reason sacrifice is finally so easy. It becomes a joyful thing.
That's amazing to me. I can honestly say I don't think I've ever experienced sacrifice as joyful. Other things, yeah, like volunteerism, and I imagine myself to be a fairly nice guy who tries to help others, but having it come right down to being joyful, I can honestly say no, I haven't gotten there yet. And not that my opinion matters on this particular video, but still.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us struggle with it. We do something that we think is sacrifice. I mean, the word sacrifice in its meaning, nowadays, the meaning has embedded in it suffering and struggle and unpleasantness.
Yes,
and it doesn't just like happy, like, an ice cream sundae or a new car.
That's right.
It has stuff embedded in it that seems negative on the outside.
It does. And that's why this comes out of the esoteric tradition, and it's like flying a plane upside down, or actually right side up.
Okay.
With the the pain of sacrifice being flying upside down, because it doesn't need to be that way.
Yeah.
And
so the way we see it now that we think is normal is actually upside down.
Yeah. And I might say that the esoteric tradition is hidden, but I look at it as an underground river that actually feeds, waters all the spiritual traditions on the planet that are much more externalized.
Oh, okay. So
it becomes, in a sense, the root tradition.
Okay. So there is a root of all, and a lot of people have said this part too, that there is a root behind all, a commonality behind all religions.
Yes.
That's what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay. Very wonderful. I really enjoy interviewing you. We've done a lot of interviews that we haven't even released to the public yet, but I'm always honored to hang out with you and hear your insights and your wisdom, and it's very beautiful.
Will is also consciousness.
Okay.
And I want to tell a story about this.
Okay, beautiful.
When I was a young person, I got very, very sick, and I was in college, and I had to take a kind of medicine, a medically prescribed medicine, that sent me into a very deep depression.
Wow.
And
The medicine sent you into
you
depression.
bet it did. And
Yikes.
I slept for, sometimes it was 14 hours a day. It was like poison.
Wow.
And I went blind with it.
Blind. Actually blind. You couldn't see.
Absolutely.
Really? I
couldn't
haven't
see.
heard you say this
In
before.
the light, I couldn't see anything.
Wow.
So, in order to see during the day, out in the sunshine, I had to wear 3 pairs of dark glasses.
Grapes. 3 pairs.
Something like that.
Wow.
But anyway, I had a hard time. The depression made it so that it was very difficult to speak or write in sentences over 3 or 4 words.
Just your concentration level or what?
I think that was probably something that was affected. I couldn't. It
It took too much effort psychologically.
Just
couldn't do it.
The thoughts just simply wouldn't go through.
Wow.
That it was just stuck. And
wow.
So I would go down on Saturdays to Denver to see my first real spiritual teacher. And she had never gone beyond the 8th grade. And she took it upon herself to get me off the medication. She was extremely intuitive and wrote Shakespearean-type sonnets.
Okay, is this somebody we've heard of or not?
You
Is
would
this
not
just
have heard
a
of
sage that was out there in the
Yeah.
wilderness that you met?
Yeah. And she would tell me things, and I was so thick in the head I couldn't take anything in and repeat it. I simply could not. Just the ability was gone.
Wow.
And one Saturday I was leaving to go back from Denver, where she lived, to the university in Boulder, and for some reason she took me by the shoulders and she said, "Rebecca, if there's anything I can tell you, it's this. There is only consciousness." Well,
Really?
really, I could remember that, Mark. It stuck. It really, because she told me a lot of other things. She probably told me that one dozens of times, and it just went right through. It didn't hit me. And I don't know whether there was the tactile sensation that made it stick. I have no idea what, but it did stick. Finally,
Wow.
everything is consciousness.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah. 3 words.
Everything is consciousness.
Everything.
Wow.
Or energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's remarkable. That's a beautiful way to end the day if you want to. Or we could stop and take a break and do some more later if we want, or we're going to take a small break, guys. We'll be back. And on behalf of the audience, Dr. Field, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us for so many times now. So many videos. You've spent a lot of time with us. We appreciate it. Thank you very much. Namaste.